Elephant Man Podcast Network, grown man conversations dealing with elephants in the room. It's your man DB. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell so you can know when new material is coming out. You haven't subscribed yet? Why not? Why you haven't subscribed yet? This brother want to know right here. Subscribe, like, share. Also join us on Facebook /Elephant Man Podcast and on IG Elephant Man _ podcast. What's going on? Blessings to you all. Shalom. I have a very, very interesting topic today. And this video by this brother, it rocked me. I'm gonna let you know. It really, really rocked me. About a couple of months ago. It came out in August, but I'm just not digesting all the information. I knew partial about it, but I didn't know to this degree, man. And the subject is petrochemicals and modern medicine. Oh my goodness. Let me tell you, brother, shout out to brother Ryan down in Florida. I don't know if you know him. He's part of the what is that part of? I'm losing this morning. Yeah, I did record this. This is a pre-recording. So if I don't respond to you in the chat, it's not personal, it's pre-recorded. Brother Ryan from Truth Unedited. There we go. See, it's too early. I need to get my coffee. I didn't get my coffee yet. Truth Unedited. And so I want to show some videos on that. But he's talking about breaking out of the matrix 4. All right. Petrochemicals, modern medicine. Right. This brother is very thorough on his studies. So salute to him, Brother Ryan. Support his work if you can. I'll leave some descriptions to his YouTube site and webpage. That brother is thorough. But I wanted to show you some videos. I want to just break it down into 3 parts and talk about it today. Science, right? People are just saying trust science, different things like that. And we're not anti-science. You know, that's a funny thing. You can be pro-science and pro the Most High, if that makes sense. But as long as the authority doesn't switch, okay? Then we're going to talk about the scientific revolution, followed by the father of modern medicines. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, hit the notification bell. Let people know that we're on here. So let's get right into it. I got this video I pulled up of his. I'm just going to show it in 3 different fragments, and then we're going to get into the presentation. It's not going to be long. You know, all right, people say, I'm not going to be before you long. I'm serious. I won't be before you long. So let's open it up. Let's see. Boom. All right. Here we go.
Taking green pills in?
I don't know. I thought you'd stop.
Why am I asking you anything? But to keep us on a leash, right? Is that it? Keep a hold on us? Keep us dependent? Who tells you this is okay?
No, I do.
Who says it's okay?
I do research. I design. I survey. I don't administer meds. I don't make policy.
Now you just load the gun.
God. Look, I was there for the science. We were all there for science. We were all there for science.
Do you have a feeling that there is sometimes an all-out war against science?
Oh, yeah. I mean, particularly over the last few years, there's an anti-authority feeling in the world. And science has an air of authority to it. So people who want to push back on authority tend to, as a sidebar, push back on science.
All right. That's the first part. I guess it's choppy too. I'm not going to show the whole screen. But that's the first part on what I want to talk about. The thing that science has authority over the Most High. If people even believe in the Most High, you know, a lot of times people just be like, you know what, they believe in the Big Bang and different things like that, and this brought to, you know, bring confusion to us. You know what I mean? And you know, a lot of people grew up in faith, and then they get to school and they just scramble their brains. You know what I mean? And evolution and all this good stuff that they like to teach our children, teach our youth. So I always tell mine, for the test, you put on the paper what you need to put on the paper. But for the truth, you already know what's going on as far as the truth. So I wanted to show the second part right here, talking about the scientific revolution. Bear with me. I'm going to show all three of these parts, and it's going to explain a few things. All right. So bear with me. Very, very good information. It just rocked me. Check this out. Second part of it.
Everything in it. But Aristotle, one of the most important natural philosophers during that time, said that the world must have existed from eternity, challenging the belief that God created the heavens and the earth. This is a huge example in the beginning of science countering the word, but about the power of God. Now, if we just speed up through time, 1,500 years later, we see the beginning of the confusion that brought us to where we are today. In the 17th century, a new movement began that challenged the view that those who held faith in Messiah had. This was the scientific revolution.
What we now call science emerged about 400 years ago through the work of a group of European thinkers who discovered new ways of interpreting the world. They no longer relied on the delivered word of God. The scientific revolution put individual curiosity, inquiry, reason, experiment above religious dogma. To my mind, science is quite simply the biggest challenge that Christianity will ever have to face.
During the period of the Renaissance, the rising power of science was growing, and the Catholic Church, who were another group desperate to hold on to control, they led a silencing campaign of these scientists and movement. This created a controlled war of ideals, where both sides were actually working for the same God, but just wanted belief in him to come in a different way. It was their white magic versus black magic. Scientists were destroyed for questioning the authority of the Catholic Church. Now, if we go back and look how science took hold in our history, it was always done as a challenge of our God. Nicholas Copernicus argued that the Earth was a planet orbiting the sun. Christians during this time rightfully believed that the Earth was stationary and the sun and moon revolved around it. Copernicus planted a seed of doubt against the church, who claimed to be the ultimate authority, not able to be questioned. Copernicus started the real doubt, and other natural philosophers, scientists, took his theory further, like Giordano Bruno, who believed that not only was there other planets, but there were living things on these planets. Because of the Inquisition and the church declaring that anyone that held another view besides what they taught were heretics worthy of death, Bruno was sentenced to death and burned. And this was a major spark in the battle between what they declare as faith versus reason. Galileo Galilei introduced the telescope building on Copernicus's theory. They claim him as the first astronomer to base his theory on evidence. Then, in the 18th century, we have people like the Grand Master of the Priory of Sion, Isaac Newton, who introduced his enlightenment and his law of physics. This was all esoteric knowledge that was being brought into the light, which is why it was the period of enlightenment. When Benjamin Franklin invented the lightning rod, it was looked at as a way of stopping God's wrath. Before his time, churches would get burned and struck down by lightning. When this happened, it would devastate communities because they felt somebody must have done something wrong and provoked God's wrath. When Benjamin Franklin put up the lightning rod, it was perceived as a way of stopping God's wrath. It was a real mixing of science and religion. Science was used to prevent God's wrath. Today, many will look at that view of stopping God's wrath as silly because they just see lightning. But ask yourself, is it that you have that view because you have been conditioned in this way? And moving on, when we get to Charles Darwin, everything really changed. He created his theory of evolution and challenged the whole existence of God himself. In 1859, Darwin published On the Origin of Species, which suggested that life on Earth was not designed by God, but had evolved through a process called natural selection. His theory canceled out the theory that we were made in God's image and supported that we were at one time apes. He also came with the theory of the survival of the fittest, in which this scientific theory became the basis point of the elite class of families that thought their wealth and power gave them a right to rule. The Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and Morgans alike held on to this Darwinian view, and that's important to understand if you're going to understand modern science and medicine of today. The point you must get before we move on is that science was always used as a way of challenging God and his existence. And if you don't understand that, it will block you from understanding how we got to this point in history we are in now.
All right, so that's very, very interesting. That second part, very, very, very interesting. You know, they had that Enlightenment period and stuff where, you know, they became smarter than the Most High. But I think it's very, very interesting, too, when they say that silencing campaign, the Catholic Church came out with a silencing campaign. And I think a lot of times when entities or groups or organizations try to start silencing campaigns, all it does is make people question it. All it does is make people say, well, man, what are you hiding? What are you doing? why do you gotta silence it? You know what I mean? But that tactic has been used for years, the silencing campaign, you know. And so we ought to know the Catholic Church was built off something different than the quote of Shem and the Most High, but that's not neither here nor there. But also that natural selection and that survival of the fittest mode. You know, he who has the riches, who has the resources, he who has the wealth. You know, I think that's the reason why the divide and conquer mindset is prevalent in the earth. You know what I mean? What's mine is mine, what's yours is mine. You know what I mean? Well, I think the Most High placed us here on the planet and gave us all access to some kind of resource so we can barter, so we can sell, so we can trade with one another. This area might be rich in minerals. This area might be rich in cattle. This area might be rich in fresh water or products. And so we will trade and buy and sell with each other, and we can survive. We know how to for lack of better terms, coexist and work together. But you go conquering and colonizing, you know, what's mine is mine, yours is mine. You know, you own the whole pie. That's where the whole monopoly come from. You know what I mean? That's neither here nor there either. We're not even talking about that as well. But if, you know, you have nothing to barter or trade with, I mean, there's nowhere in the world, the continent of Africa, the people should be sick and looking for you to send them a bowl of rice. And, you know what I mean? It's no way it should be that way. There's so many minerals. I talked about this before, and gold and silver and diamonds and cobalt and you name it. That's on the continent of Africa. It's rich. The soil, the land itself is rich. And so, but if you don't have the tools to mine it, if you don't have the tools to process it, if you don't have the import export people that can process it and shift it and move it around the world and to make a profit, to make money, then you're stuck like Chuck. You know what I mean? And somebody else come in and invade your space and take your place, you know. But that's neither here nor there. That's not where I'm going. But survival of the fittest mode, you know what I mean? And that's where racism came in at, and that's where this group is better than that group, and all that good stuff came in. But I want to go to this last part before I go into my slides. Very, very interesting. This one blew my mind. The father of modern medicine. The father of modern medicine. So let me set that up, and then we're going to play it. And subscribe, like, share. Let's see. We're just going to start from here then. And it's not going to be that long, but it's going to explain everything. And it just really blew my mind. And when I researched it, I found even more. So check this out.
Sir, this is when they listened. The leader that many people voted in did not say, trust God. He said,
listen to the scientists.
Listen to the scientists.
Trust the scientists. In fact, videos on YouTube will be taken down and given strikes if you even told people to just trust God while speaking against their solution. You have to be very careful. This is a mindset that has come from the promotion of science over our faith. And this is what I'm tackling, not a hatred of all science. If you choose to misunderstand that, then that's really on you. Now let's keep going. Now, as we jump into today, people again like to claim that because God created everything, that means he created science and gave us this knowledge to do the things that we have done. The view is that science is basically God's way of helping society grow. But this really is not the case. This view needs a readjustment. Instead of placing God there, we should change it with Satan and then expand on it. Science is Satan's way of helping society grow away from God. People have given away all their trust to science and medicine today. Basically, our lives are run by scientists and what they feel about things. People defend science, but they do not really understand how these developments have happened. Let's right now cover the view that we should trust science because it comes from God. This is something that I'm going to debunk using one major example. We are going to talk about the father of modern medicine. Now, this industry is very deep, but if you can just understand this influence, everything else should make sense. When speaking of science coming from God, what people do not think about is the money that is behind the research. People just don't come out of nowhere with a big development that the world accepts and implements. The truth is that science would not be possible without the backing of major donors and grants. You have many theories, projects, and experiments that fail, that you never heard of. Not everything works. There is a lot of money that goes into research. Our science has not been primarily funded by the government, but by private donors and corporations. Every major breakthrough has happened because there was major money behind it, backing it. So when we say God is responsible for the breakthroughs, which God are we talking about? Because there is a very specific God on the back of our dollar bills. Anyways, the same families that I have shown in this Breaking Out of the Matrix series, the first part about following the money, those same families are the same ones that are the main creators of our science and medical industry. In most of these Breaking Out the Matrix series, you're going to see their influence because they are the ones that have created this matrix. Let's jump and go directly to Rockefeller University. On their site, they plainly say as their motto, science for the benefit of humanity. The Rockefeller family have been major influencers of the scientific and medical community. John D. Rockefeller is known as the father of modern medicine, for those who look deeper than what they are mind controlled to know. With his deep pockets, he exerted his control. So before we talk about the present and what they currently show on this website, let's go a century back. Let's talk about modern Western medicine. What medicine is like today is not what it was like centuries ago. Doctors used to practice healing through the natural. Our Father created a world that has the natural resources that were able to give us what our bodies needed to heal. Natural and herbal medicines were very popular in America during the early 1900s. Almost one half the medical colleges and doctors in America were practicing holistic medicine, using extensive knowledge from Europe and Native American traditions. But in the 20th century, all that changed. John D. Rockefeller, the wealthiest man in the history of America, was a huge proponent of this change. And most people don't even know of his influence. Most people don't even know of him. By the turn of the 20th century, Rockefeller controlled 90% of all petroleum refineries in America through ownership of his company, Standard Oil Corporation. His company, Standard Oil, was later split into smaller companies, Mobil, Chevron, Exxon, etc., making the family even wealthier. In the beginning of the 20th century, the 1900s, the science world was getting excited about new petrochemicals and the ability to create a variety of new compounds from oil. Some of the first products derived from petrochemicals were plastics, but organic chemists knew that oil had the potential to create far more than plastic bags. With all the research done, it was found that drugs could be produced from petroleum. So the world's top oil man, who controlled the petroleum market, decided to use his influence to change the medical industry. In the early 1900s, there were a variety of doctors and healing methods in America. Some of the medical specialties included chiropractic, naturopathy, homeopathy, holistic medicine, and herbal medicine. To eliminate the competition, Rockefeller used his massive wealth and influence and changed the game. Rockefeller purchased part of the German pharmaceutical company IG Farben. You can look up this company's involvement in World War II. There's a lot to say about them. They're now known as Bayer. He hired a contractor named Abraham Flexner, and Flexner submitted a report to Congress in 1910. This is known as the Flexner Report. This report concluded that there were too many doctors and medical schools in America, and that all the natural healing methods, which had existed for hundreds of years, were now unscientific quackery. Medicines used for thousands of years were now classified as alternative, and the new petroleum-based patentable drugs were declared the gold standard. And then, gaining more control, Rockefeller then took control of the American Medical Association. And through that report that Abraham Flexner submitted to Congress, he called for a standardization of medical information. Based on the report, Congress acted upon Flexner's recommendations and changed laws related to medical practice. With these legal changes in place, Rockefeller teamed up with Andrew Carnegie and started funding medical schools all over America on the strict condition that they only taught their curriculum. The medicine that he was in control of was now the standard of medicine. Through the power of their huge grants, this powerful team systematically dismantled the previous curriculum of these medical schools, removing any mention of the healing power of herbs or natural treatments. Teachings on diet and other natural, non-drug treatments were also completely removed from medical programs. Any mention of their healing power was erased from the medical textbooks. Medicine was changed from wellness and prevention to simply treatment. You're ill, take 2 of these and call me in the morning. We were moved from using the solutions Father gave us to heal us and moved to the solution that science provided us. Those that were against this change were silenced, and as time went by, people just did as they were taught. After removing traditional medicine from schools, Rockefeller made sure to secure his monopoly by launching a targeted smear campaign against his competitors. Homeopathy and natural medicines were discredited and demonized through the newspapers and other media of the time. Some doctors were even jailed for using natural medicine treatments, including treatments that had been used safely and effectively for decades before. In a very short time, medical colleges were all made uniform. All the students were taught the same allopathic system. Allopathic means science-based. Medicine was now defined as a process of prescribing patented drugs. A pill for an ill became the mindset of American medicine. And maybe you want to think that this was all done by Rockefeller because of money, but it was not that. His family was tasked with helping promote and create this new world order that we're headed to. And he used his influence to create a world that depended more on the God of this world than the God of the Bible. It was not about money. He had all the money he could ever have. The work of Rockefeller and Carnegie was a success. They crushed the underfunded grassroots competition and created our current medical system, a system of science-based medicine that we are never able to challenge and we must accept blindly. This system continues today, wherein Big Pharma makes large donations to medical schools in exchange for teaching the medical students to use their patented drugs. As part of this system, many alternative treatments are criminalized. When evidence came out that petroleum-based medicines might have been causing cancer, Rockefeller then founded the American Cancer Society in 1913 and then suppressed that information. So now, even to this day, people get cancer and no one can explain to you why all of a sudden these cancers have appeared. There's no prevention. just treatment. Rockefeller is literally the father of modern medicine, and most people, including doctors, don't have a clue. When I've talked to doctors and even surgeons, most don't even know of Rockefeller and his oil empire. So they definitely don't understand this history. It's the matrix. Like these elite families did with all the other industries, they hid themselves under the guise and control of major corporations and exerted their power and control through them. So now we don't talk about them, we just call it Big Pharma. The Rockefeller Empire, along with Chase Manhattan Bank, known as now JP Morgan Chase, owned over half of the pharmaceutical interests in the United States. So now, if we go back to Rockefeller University, look at what they have to say. Bioscience is what we do. Our singular focus is on powering the breakthroughs that will transform medicine. You see, they're transforming medicine. Who we are, the world's leading biomedical research university. Rockefeller draws top scientists and graduate students from around the world in pursuit of one mission: to conduct science for the benefit of humanity. Our history. At the time of the Institute's founding, infectious diseases such as tuberculosis, diphtheria, and typhoid fever were considered the greatest known threats to human health. New research centers in Europe, including the Koch and Pasteur Institutes, were successfully applying laboratory science to increase our understanding of those and other diseases. Following their lead, the Rockefeller Institute became the first biomedical research center in the United States. A new kind of hospital. The Rockefeller Institute Hospital, crucial to the Institute's mission, opened in 1910, the first center for clinical research in the United States. It remains a place where researchers can link laboratory investigations with bedside observations to provide a scientific basis for disease detection, prevention, and treatment. Early on, researchers at the hospital studied polio, heart disease, and diabetes, among other diseases. This special hospital environment served as the model for dozens of other clinical research centers established over the next decades. It clearly controlled and steered our modern medicine. I went over this for you so you can see how intertwined the Rockefeller family is with our science and medicine. They are the pioneers and founders of modern science and medicine, and most people don't even know of their influence. Ask your doctors if they know this history. You will find that your trusted professionals are sheep, just like the rest. But just because they went to school longer, they want you to look at them as the genius, and they are smarter than you.
Wow. I hope I didn't lose you with that long part, man. But woo, when I seen that part, that was so crazy, man. I just couldn't believe it. I was just like, whoa, that's some heavy stuff right there. You know what I mean? How it happened. And then, you know, we think about, I'm sharing my other screen. Not right now, though. Sorry, let me pull that back. We think about different cancers and different things like that. And if someone has a cure for it, or someone has a preventative measures, someone had preventative measures in place, you would think that they would do that instead of giving chemo and people falling all out. And, you know, I have some loved ones who was affected by it, you know what I mean? But, you know, as well as all of us, you know what I mean? Or most of us. But it's never talked about. But you know what? That's very, very interesting that they said, you know, they use the herbs and the different things like that. They call it alternative medicine, like it's an alternative to the petrochemicals. And one thing that they use as a base is synthetic, and it's coal tar. All right. And so I hope I don't get dinged for this, but it just wicked. Synthetics. What is synthetics? Synthetic is a substance made by chemical synthesis, especially to imitate a natural product. So synthetic is basically created to imitate a natural product. So when the Most High placed us here, he put everything around us for healing, right? He even put antibodies. He even put different things on the inside of us to fight off and combat certain ills, certain sicknesses, diseases. He put it in us to combat that, right? Or he put it in the ground, and this terra firma, this suit that we got, he said that the Bible, the scripture says he grabbed it from the ground and blew into it and made a living soul. We are imago Dei, created in the image and likeness of the Most High. The real us is the spirit man on the inside, right? And so this is so we can have the five senses: touch, taste, smell, see, hear, so we can have an experience here on this earth. You know what I mean? But this earth is temporary. This body is temporary. But he put everything here in this body, everything here to help cure any remedies, any ailments that happen to this body, I should say. I'm sorry, I said remedies. But so synthetic, when you come along and bring something synthetic, it's something against the body. Now I think about even when I was growing this summer, the soil has nutrients in it. It has microorganisms. It has nutrients. It has certain amount of potassium. It has certain amount of calcium. It has certain amount of nitrogen and certain other things that is in the ground that makes the roots strong, that start the whole process of photosynthesis to help your food grow, right? And so once you plant something, 1 year, the next year you got to amend the soil. And what amend the soil means is you took nutrients out. That plant pulled the nutrients out of that soil. So you have to amend it. You have to put it back, put the nutrients back into the soil so you can grow again, right? They also say crop rotation is don't plant the same crop in the same area, right? They got a crop rotation, like nitrogen. Corn uses a lot of nitrogen. I don't want to get to science class, but corn uses nitrogen, right? So, but beans give nitrogen. So they say in 1 year you plant corn, and next year you plant beans to put that nitrogen back in the ground, and then the third year you plant something different, and then the fourth year you plant corn again. But it's that's why they got cover crops and different things. But this is not the garden class. But I said that the soils need to be replenished and healthy and strong and vibrant so it can sustain life and sustain the plant. You wouldn't take a raised bed or where you're growing at and pour petroleum, put oil on it, right? You wouldn't pour cooking oil on it. You wouldn't pour motor oil on it and plant it in the ground. I mean, it might germinate, it might not. More than likely, it won't. So because it's not natural, right? You need natural things to amend the soil, right? And so we need natural things to amend our soil, our body. This is made flesh and blood is made out of pretty much soil, if I should say it like that. So we don't put synthetic things in our bodies to amend our soil. We need natural things, right? That's why I see it's a rise in the holistic medicine again. It's been demonized. You say it's been a smear campaign to demonize it, to wipe out the competition, to stop preventative measures. Preventative means that, proactive instead of reactive. Reactive is, oh no, I got this ailment, and I got to react and try to fix it. Proactive is, I'm going to work on my immune system. I'm going to work on whatever it is so my immune system can stay strong and healthy, and so I don't have to react to the different things that's going on in the world, the sicknesses and diseases that's in the world. So we've got to be more proactive and go back to proactive than reactive. And we learn different things, shout out to those. And if you guys are into it, I want to have you on and talk about it. The natural remedies, you know what I mean? It's naturopathy, holistic medicine, herbal medicine, without adding the sorcery part to it. I'm losing my mind. It's a way that you can use natural medicine without using the it's gonna come to my mind soon. Sorry, but the natural medicines, right? The elderberry, the sea moss, the vitamin C, the vitamin D. There are many things that's in The one cure-all is like duct tape for the soul. Apple cider vinegar. They use apple cider vinegar for everything. Like, just take apple cider vinegar. I'm like, oh man. But again, this is not a health class, but this is like, we have to get back to those different things. So preventative treatments. We try to go back to the preventative treatments, right? So Carnegie and Rockefeller pumped their money into all of that, you know. And I want to read this right here. That coal tar is a synthetic that they use, right? How are people exposed to coal tar? Oh, wait a minute. Okay, occupational exposure to coal tar. So they're saying people are exposed to coal tar on the outside. You know, you can see those guys that's doing those the pavement, and they spraying it, or they're doing the rooftop and they spraying the black coal. They say that's exposed to the coal tar. Only occupational exposure to coal tar, so they say. And coal tar pitch increase the risk of skin cancer. I'm gonna put this in here. It's cancer.gov. Other types of cancer include lung, bladder, kidney, digestive tract cancer have been linked to occupational exposure of coal tar. So they're saying this occupation can lead to cancers, right? But they're making it, they narrowing it down to only that. But what about the synthetics? What about the synthetics we put in our body? They could lead to it too, because we putting. What does it say about synthetics again? What does it say? It says imitate natural. It's not real. Like grape flavored is not grapes. You know, lemon flavored is not lemon, right? Imitation vanilla abstract is not the same as real vanilla abstract. You get what I'm saying? So it might taste good, you know, cherry flavor it might remind you of it, but it's not the actual cherry juice, if I should say it like that. Okay, so allopathic is science-based, right? And so that science-based crushed the underfunded grassroots. You heard what he said, that the underfunded grassroots, it crushed it. All right, so I'm going to show you this real quick, and then we're going to get out of here. We 37 in. I don't like to have long shows. Cats be having 3-hour lives. Man, but I want to, you know, be on there and be done with it. All right, so let's show this. Why is it like that? Okay, I like that one better. So present. It's loading. All right. All right. So the rise of American medicine, going to recap. All right. The American Medical Association began in 1847. But it was a small, weak organization until John D. Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie took on a philanthropic mission, right? So they'd be like, man, this is philanthropy. This is giving back, you know. But I used to always say, man, these billionaires be giving back to stuff, man. That's so great and noble of them. And they're giving it money, stuff like that. But they just ain't giving free money. So, you know, they say angel funds and all of this stuff, but they get something out of it when they give their money, right? To help AMA market the point of allopathic Western medicine. So remember what it said with the allopathic was science-based. Since there were many types of doctors and healing method, Rockefeller wanted to eliminate these competitors, thus ensuring that drugs would be the main course of treatment, because a lot of them have synthetic. You see all the different things you can make with petroleum. You know, it's not just about putting it in cars or making plastic, right? You can put the plastic in your body. You know what I mean? Capitalists like Rockefeller and Carnegie embraced scientific medicine as an ideological weapon in their struggle to formulate a new culture and appropriate to a supportive and industrial capitalism. And this book is Rockefeller Men and Medicine, Richard E. Brown, 1979. I'm going to start a Patreon soon and have a lot of these different articles and books in there, and just actually to support it. It's not going to be astronomical. But it's actually to support it, and you have access to these documents. The rise of American Medical Association. In the 1900s, there were many types of healing practices in the U.S. Okay, that's what I said. Naturopathy, homeopathy, herbal medicines, diet, and steam baths. But now, look, and then in the 18th and 19th centuries, there was heroic medicine. Now, this was barbaric and terrible. Bloodletting, purging, leeching, blistering, mercury-lead therapy. So it was almost fatal in a lot of cases. Okay. Because heroic medicine treatment was so often unpleasant and often lethal, more of the populace chose the milder treatments to the herbalists, which was really the best ones because you're putting herbs, medicinal herbs back in your body. And even the beginning, and I don't want to go ahead, but that war on drugs, Nixon in 71 or 69, well, whenever Nixon was in there, it was really a war on drugs before that. The Harrison Narcotics Act passed in 1914, regulated production and distribution of opium, and marijuana and cocaine, and we know that opium and marijuana and cocaine, some of it, if you use too much, you can become addicted to it, right? Just like with any drug, right? You can become addicted to it, but with certain amount that's used, it used to cure different ailments. Okay, so let's go into this. Okay, heroic medicine, 1780 to 1850, right? They would do different things: intestinal purging, bloodletting, vomiting, profuse sweating, blistering. Treated diseases like syphilis with salves made from mercury, and we know that mercury shouldn't be put in our body, right? These medical treatments were well intentioned and often well accepted by the medical community, but actually harmful to the patients. So this was what they was doing before the allopathic. The term allopathic refers to the practice of healing through opposites. If a patient is retaining water, then the drug that promotes urination is the answer. Homeopathy is derived from homeos, which means similar to pathos, which means suffering. Homeopathy means like cures like. Okay. So check this out. This is very interesting too. In 1930s, John D. Rockefeller campaigned for the prohibition of hemp and cannabis through generous political and Baptist church donations. Hemp could produce ethanol, which competed with petroleum. So hemp could produce ethanol, which competed against petroleum, and cannabis was a competitor to opium, right? So and with a Rockefeller-owned member, an opium cartel, Bayer creators of heroin. Okay, under the directive of Rockefeller Foundation funds, the medical college in 1948 swelled to $32 million, which today is around $323 million. This ensured that the medical schools would teach and indoctrinate the names. Oh, my lightning went out. Praise the Most High. We still gonna roll. Ensured that the medical schools would teach and indoctrinate the names and uses of thousands of drugs. We cannot forget that pharmaceutical empires, the Rockefellers, include vaccines, sedatives, analgesics, antibiotics, and heart drugs, and hypnotics. They even use hypnotics. All right, the Rockefellers and their pharmaceutical empire. We're almost done, guys. With the AMA and allopathic medical schools firmly in place, the abolition of other medical therapies and the enforcement of regulated licenses of doctors, the Rockefeller empire continued to expand. Sterling Drug and Company, the largest holding company in the Rockefeller drug empires, some 68 subsidiaries were maintained under the umbrella, with the Rockefeller-owned bank, Chase Manhattan, known as J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, and called it the Drug Trust. So they use small doses of heroin, small doses of cocaine, right? They use small doses of many different things, many different drugs, natural drugs. But if you think about it, I mean, we demonize herb, right? We went through a full cycle, right? They said, marijuana and hemp. Then there was a war on drugs, came through there with not just marijuana, but the cocaine, in the form of crack rock. Cocaine is pure, in pure form, in powder form. But then if you crack rock, it's pretty much stepped on, as we all talked about. It's not as potent, it's not as strong, but still, you get caught with a crack rock, you get more time in jail. So that was like a quote unquote war on drugs. And now that it's said 40 years later, they like, you know what? You can open up a recreational and medical distillery, but not if you got caught up in the war on drugs prior to that. If you're a felon, you can't open up, you can't get a license. So it's a dirty game, you know. But they was using heroin from the opiate, and they a lot of these things, if you use in small amounts and mix with other stuff, are, and I'm not condoning opium or cocaine or marijuana, but I'm saying they're natural plants compared to synthetics. So this is very, very crazy. So they had that drug trust going on, right? Where they took a lot of this stuff out. Okay, this is real weird. Race and Criminalization of Opium, Marijuana, and More by PhD Gwen Sharp. I'll put this in the Patreon too when I get it up. This combined with the push of social reformers to prohibit a variety of substances leading to the Harrison Narcotics Act passed in 1914, right? Look at this little ad right here. Cocaine tooth drops for kids. You know, that's kind of weird, right? But they used to have cocaine and put a lot of cocaine and different things in the drugs. Regularly produced the distribute of opium, but in this application eventually basically criminalized it. Okay. Rockefeller's investment in chemicals and drugs. Rockefeller purchased shares of what became a massive German chemical and pharmaceutical cartel, IG Farben, that was mentioned in the video. A conglomerate of several big chemical manufacturers, including Bayer, Hochkress, and BASF. This conglomerate would invent, produce, and distribute Xylon B used in Nazi concentration camps. All right, that's pretty wild. The conglomerate would invent and distribute Xylon B used in Nazi concentration camps. I don't know why I put that on there twice. Producing enough gas to kill 200 million humans in 1939, IG Farben purchased $20 million worth of the high-grade aviation gasoline for Standard Oil in New Jersey, owned by Rockefeller. Before the attack on Pearl Harbor, IG Farben purchased an undisclosed number of shares in Schering, Mustano, Dow Chemical, and DuPont. It also took over privately owned Hoffman LaRoche Company, who will become one of the largest producers of coal tar vitamins in the world. So this is the name, the coal tar that we talked about. Coal tar vitamins is a lot. The plastic capsules that is made from petroleum and synthetics and coal tar. So we we getting our vitamins and our nutrients. Oh, fruits and vegetables is not enough. We got to take these vitamins because we're missing it. And we put the coal tar in our system. All right. Can you imagine giving your kids this daily? 95% of multivitamins contain synthetics and are derived from petroleum or coal tar. Ooh, I hope they don't take this video down. All right. So synthetic, like I said before, made by chemical synthesis, especially to imitate a natural product. Now, anything that's taken out of hand, it can't take it to the next level. Too much opiate, too much cocaine and marijuana and the hemp seed and hemp seed oil and all of this different stuff like that. Yeah, you can't take it and do something damaging with it. But a lot of this, the natural plants that are in the ground, and it's not a holistic subject, but a lot of those plants that are in the ground are for our healing and stuff. And I met with a brother who was very, very interesting. Very, 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 very interesting. He was saying a lot of the weeds that's in the ground around us have healing medicinal purposes. Yellow dock and white clover and dandelion, and he was naming all of it. And we walk past it every day, step on it and pull it up, and we have been programmed to say, "Oh, these weeds is terrible." You know what I mean? But some of them have medicinal properties. We walk past it every day. You know what I mean? And as the 1970s, they had this weed act. It pretty much demonized a lot of the different weeds. And when you go to the store right now, there's so many herbicides, the different things to kill the weeds off. You know what I mean? So you can yet funnel and try to go get their petroleum-based synthetic coal tar product. Man, this is very interesting. Okay, the Harrison Narcotics Act. All right, I'm going to read some of that, and we're going to get out of here because I know some people can give me thumbs down. Anyway, the Harrison Narcotics Act, 1914, okay? Act to provide the registration of with collectors of Internal Revenue Service. Okay, no, Harris's Harrison Anti-Narcotic Act restrictions of availability and consumption of drugs. Okay. Charles Brent was an American Episcopal bishop. No, that's not what I want to read. Oh, man. Opium usage had begun to decline by 1914 after using dramatically in the post-Civil War era, peaking at around 1/2 million pounds per year in 1896. Demand gradually declined thereafter. Okay. Demand gradually declined thereafter in response to mounting public concerns. Local and state regulations and the Pure Food and Drug Administration Act of 1906, which required labeling of patent medicines that contain opiates, cocaine, alcohol, cannabis, and other intoxicants. As of 1911, the estimate U.S. citizens were 400 were addicted to some form of opiate. The opiate addicts were mostly women who were prescribed and dispensed legal opiates by physicians or pharmacists. Okay, and that was and it said white men and Chinese men at opiate dens. They gave them to a lot of the white men and Chinese men. Okay, they also said the drug craze. They were saying it was an increase in drugs. Okay, so the United States federal law, which regulated and taxed the production of the distribution of opiates and cocaine. Okay, it said the drafters played on the fears of drug craze, sex mad Negroes. How are we getting to this, man? And made references to Negroes under the influence of drugs, murdering whites, and raping women. Okay, the Negro cocaine fiends are new Southern menace. That was published in February 8, 1914. I'm gonna put this in here, okay? And it increased among lower. I'm tearing it up. I'm messing it up at the end of the show. But anyway, basically, it was saying people were becoming addicted to these different drugs, and they also said, and I promise, I got it. It's like the Negroes got some superhuman strength. They were raping the white women, and their aim when shooting a gun was better, was more accurate. They had more accurate. I promise. I'm gonna post it. I'm gonna post it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, man, some kind of way we you know. So they led that smear campaign to get rid of the marijuana, the opiates, the cocaine, the coca plant, to try to uplift the synthetics. But people are getting addicted to synthetics now. They say MJ died because of his addiction to the synthetics, right? He died because, you know, so you can get addicted to those petroleum based as well, right? Right? They used to dog it out here, morphine, the American druggists, they used to dog it out. And you know what? I got it right in here. I'm trying to look for it, and it's right in here. See, I do too much. Back to the Gwen Sharp PhD. We're closing out, guys. Reformers pushed for cocaine to be banned, suggested that effects led black men to rape white women, and that it gave them nearly superhuman strength, and that allowed them to kill whites more effectively. Oh man! So you're in the 1914s, and you're hearing that, man, this cocaine is giving these black men superhuman strength, and they kill whites more effectively. Like, we're not running. I mean, a similar argument was made about Mexicans and marijuana and Chinese people and opium. Texas police captain summed up that the problem under marijuana, get this, Mexicans probably became very violent, especially when they became angry and would attack an officer even if a gun is drawn on him. They seem to have no fear. I have also noted that under the influence of the weed, they have enormous strength. Man, the Mexicans getting strong off weed, and we getting strong off cocaine. Enormous strength, and that it will take several men to handle one man, while under ordinary circumstances, one man can handle him with ease. Read this report, Race and the Criminalization of Opium and Marijuana and More by Dr. Gwen Sharp, June 26, 2015. That's the reference. So you say, man, he making it up. So the story of the criminalization of some of the substances in the U.S. is intricately tied to various ways of anti-immigration and racist sentiment. And you can see it even today, in the 80s, right? Super criminal who was imperious to pain and therefore especially violent and dangerous. The addicted mother who harms and even abandons her children to prostitute herself, as a way to get drugs, resurfaced as crack cocaine emerged in the 1980s and was perceived as the drug of choice for African Americans. So that's another reason they do these fear tactics to get that war on drugs going again. You know what I mean? War on drugs, it really affected our community real tough, right? We have friends, family, and relatives that went to jail, went to prison because of the war on drugs. And it's very, very interesting. All right. So that is that. I started gibbering at the end because I was trying to look for that article. My bad. Subscribe, like, share. Hit the notification bell so you can know when new material come out. Share this, man. And also subscribe to that truthunedited.com. I'm surprised they let that brother keep that video up. That video I couldn't believe it, right? And I had to look it up for myself, right? It's very, 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 very interesting. Only Love, November the 14th. Make sure you check out Only Love, November the 14th. I don't know what happened to my light. It went all out. Like, subscribe, share. Like, subscribe, share, okay? Find us on Facebook, okay? Blessings to you all. Hope you all have a wonderful day. We at right at 57, and that's a little bit. I guess it ain't that long, but salute and salama. Bless you guys, and let me know what you think. Even if you disagree with it, I hate that, and you're lying, and I'm gonna continue to trust science. Well, that's fine. Share that with. All right, shalom, brothers.
Perfect.